own inquiries in recent months. I spoke with a member of that committee, Senator Coons, earlier. Senator Coons, can you first explain what's going to happen tomorrow? Because this is going to be behind closed doors. The American public will not see or hear from Donald Trump Jr. Is any topic off the table?
Well, Anderson, what I'm really looking forward to is an upcoming public hearing where I'll get the opportunity to question Donald Trump Jr. under oath in front of the full Judiciary Committee. This week, what's happening is a staff interview where I believe Donald Trump Jr. Has voluntarily come in and is open to being asked virtually any question by staff that is relevant to the ongoing investigation.
That interview from the staff, is that on the record? I mean, is that under oath?
Yes, it will produce a transcript that'll be accessible to members of the committee and to others who are investigating potential concerns about the conduct of the Trump campaign. Anyone who testifies in front of a Senate committee is under the restrictions of a statute that says if they attempt to mislead Congress, there are legal consequences.
Obviously, the issue of that meeting last June with the Kremlin-linked Russian lawyer, or at least the woman who was presented to Donald Trump Jr. as a Russian government attorney, though she denies that. Obviously, that's going to be one of the key things focused on in this interview tomorrow, and also if there's a public hearing from you. Does it surprise you still? I mean, the Trump White House, Donald Trump Jr. has claimed to have been fully transparent, but there's still so many questions we do not know about that meeting, not the least of which is that Donald Trump Jr. in the initial email is informed that Russia is backing his father's campaign, and he doesn't seem to react to that in any way, and it's hard for me to believe that he would not then go and at some point tell his father this bombshell news.
That's right, Anderson. That is exactly the thing I most want to ask him in an open hearing, is how is it possible that you received news from someone you know by email that the Putin regime is attempting to help your father win the American presidency, and your response is, great, let's have the meeting, rather than what the heck are you talking about, or I need to refer this to law enforcement, or at the very least, I need to warn my father that there's something completely inappropriate going on here.
How important is it also to figure out the president's involvement in crafting the statement that was initially released by Donald Trump Jr., but from all the reporting by the New York Times and others, it was the president who had some level of involvement in crafting that statement?
Well, Anderson, part of what the judiciary focus is obstruction of justice, which is distinct from what the special counsel or even the Intelligence Committee are focusing on. They're focusing on broader areas. It would go directly to that question, whether the president himself was involved in trying to cover the tracks of those who were involved in efforts on behalf of his campaign. Obstruction of justice is a fancy way of saying that he tried to get in the way of any ongoing investigation. He tried to cover their tracks. So that's what we'd be getting at in questioning what role he had in crafting and helping issue a misleading initial statement about the participants and the purpose of that meeting in Trump Tower in the summer of 2016.
And Senator Warner, the vice chair of the Intel Committee, which has its own investigation, says he doesn't see his committee's probe wrapping up before the end of the year. Would you see the same for the Judiciary Committee?
Given that it's September and given how many other things we've got on our plate as a Senate, I would agree. I think it's unlikely we'll conclude this before the end of this calendar year.
And finally, this whole idea of a turf war between the House and Senate Intelligence Committees, plus the Senate Judiciary Committee, plus the Special Counsel's Office, given that Robert Mueller's team is really the only group empowered to actually bring criminal charges against anyone suspected of wrongdoing, would you want Congress to at least give Mueller first dibs on what, if any, legal substance emerges from all this?
I think it is absolutely critical that we coordinate closely with Robert Mueller and the special counsel so that we do not inappropriately interfere in his investigation or inadvertently prevent it from reaching a legal conclusion. I think there was a dust-up a few days ago, or maybe weeks ago now, that was largely rooted in a misunderstanding about the release of transcripts of the work product of Senate committees, and I'm hopeful that that's getting resolved soon.
All right, Senator Coons, appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you, Anderson.
We're going to be right back with the latest on Hurricane Irma, what is happening right now in Puerto